How's it going, everybody? So a while back in Shinobi's updated punish video, I promised to make a whole separate video outlining why the character is such a mess. There was plenty of protest in the comment section regarding that statement, but yeah, just finish the video and then come again. I also talked to a few people about this so I don't miss anything, most notably to Kawaii. A link to his stream will be in the video description, a long-term competitive player with tons of experience on the character, so check him out please. But yeah, let's get into this. The first and probably most obvious point I'm going to bring up is the following: Shinobi is a ranged character in a game that is solely melee based. So, do I think that we should fault Ubisoft for even attempting to make this work? No, I don't. It's a concept you'll see in a lot of medieval games. Almost all of them try to put in some form of archer, crossbow user, throwing weapons or whatever. And just like in pretty much all other games as well, Shinobi's concept fell flat. If you're to create a character who's supposed to attack from range, you need to give him tools to maintain that range. That's the reason why Shinobi has the best mobility of the whole roster. That's easy to call out as an issue, but if they had not given him that mobility, the character would have been an absolute stillbirth at release. So let's look into the problems these ranged attacks actually create. Like many things in Shinobi's kit, the ranged heavies are utterly useless in 1v1 situations, but in teamfights and ganks, they are very annoying too. Punishing opponents that make a wrong move either because of high recovery moves or totally wrong choice of a move, Shinobi doesn't really care. He can poke away from distance and stay mostly unpunishable. You can't really do anything to him even if you parry him because he's way too far away. But obviously that's not his only ranged move. Ranged guard break is probably one of the most frustrating moves currently in the game. I'll get to Sickle Rain in just a bit, but let's look at the setup for it first. Once again, a ranged guard break is utterly useless in 1v1s, but the total opposite when the Shinobi can do it from off screen. Which brings us to a topic that infuriates every single For Honor player: external indicators. And guard break, for that matter, does not have an external indicator to begin with. If you're being guard broken from any other character, that person has to be right next to you, aka on your screen, so we can see what's happening. So it's not that big of an issue that there isn't an indicator. But Shinobi can do it while totally out of line of sight, plus he has the stealth feat, so you can't even tell from your little radar. Unless you have a teammate call out the position, you probably don't even know he's there. So now you're left with the audio cue, right? Well, wrong. Turns out you can throw out the ranged guard break without your Shinobi yelling. All you're left with is some grunting. Good luck listening for a random grunt in a teamfight. It can happen randomly, but you can also suppress the yelling. Randomly wasn't the right word, I guess. It's more or less alternating yell, grunt. But if you time your guard break with your charge and heavy indicator turning red, you always just have to grunt. Next issue with the ranged guard break. It's not a guard break. It does not adhere to any of the usual guard break rules. First of all, it's dodgeable. Every player learns really early that you get grabbed if you dodge. Nope, not on ranged guard breaks. They whiff. The slippery feet, I've gone to great lengths highlighting how bad that feat is, but turns out they fixed that one. It used to not activate on ranged guard breaks. I don't know when that change happened, but well, guess it's one step closer to being what its name says. And the most infuriating thing, it ignores revenge armor. You just get grabbed mid-attack because you were dumb enough to dare and attack during revenge with a Shinobi nearby. No pressing buttons in my For Honor. And I mean, the fact that you can grab teammates with it should be enough to show that this move has its own set of rules. So let's get to Sickle Rain then, the move that usually follows the ranged guard break. The move itself does 53 damage with most of it front loaded because of the heavy. Then the move has armor and it revenge locks your ass, so opponents can wail on you with no repercussions whatsoever. And just like other guaranteed combo moves, you can delay the input of the 3 lights at the end so to increase the duration of the CC. We know that Ubisoft doesn't like these kind of moves. They've been removing them one by one, emphasis on the one by one. Just get rid of them in one fell swoop. It's just so incredibly annoying. The most broken one you leave for last. Well, I guess Charm and Spite was the most broken one, but still. Moving on, the next thing I mentioned already on Sickle Rain, Shinobi's damage as a whole is incredibly overtuned. Every single move except for the zone attack is among the highest in their category. 24 damage lights, 29 damage parry riposte, 40 damage guard break and light parry, 50 damage deflect. I mean, if you want to know all the punishes, just look at my other video. I've heard the argument that his low HP at release was to compensate for the damage. I'm not buying that argument at all. We have other high damage characters that don't have something to balance it out. So what was the point of the 90 HP back then? What was it the drawback for? The mobility? The fact that it's a ranged character? Well, we can just keep guessing. But I personally don't like that balanced approach at all. It's similar to a long cooldown on an insanely strong move. The move is still insanely strong when it's off cooldown, and chances are that in that very moment, nothing's balanced. Quite the opposite. So the whole concept of this balanced approach is ludicrous to me. And all you did was introduce another thing you need to balance around, and I guess that's why the character now has 110 HP. But yeah, moving on, super armor is the next topic. All the kicks, all the flips, the slide tackle, the deflect, and the second part of the zone have super armor. Just to get the definition right here, we do have hyper armor and super armor. The community uses the term hyper armor for moves that poise through attacks, and super armor allows to tank both through attacks as well as bashes. And for whatever reason, that type of armor is omnipresent on Shinobi. We'll go through the most relevant of the moves. First is kick. That move is probably the perfect representation of something that is completely and utterly useless as offense, and at the same time insanely broken. The move itself is completely reactable. Multiple reasons in my opinion. First of all, the double dodge is required as a setup, giving even the slowest of players ample time to turn on their brain and remember that a kick might be coming out. Second, the kick animation itself is very distinct. It's not a tiny animation that might be mistaken for something else. We've had this discussion before with same speed attacks feeling harder or easier to react to, simply because of the scale of the animation, for a lack of a better term. So now, everyone can react to your kick, but barely anyone can punish you for it. There are exactly 6 characters that can punish a Shinobi for failing a kick. Out of those 6, we can get rid of Gladiator because it's a side dodge bash, meaning it will do fuck all. The others are Black Prior, Conqueror, Raider, Shaman and TND. A lot of you might be wondering now because you punished Shinobi's backflipping with other characters, but that's not what we're doing. We're not backflipping, because that opens up more punishes. A kick, whiffed or not, leads into a charged heavy. Charged heavies can be cancelled into dodges. So, this happens then, if you try and punish Shinobi with the wrong character. But let's go on a little tangent about punishing bashes. We have 3 types here: punishable on reaction, punishable on read, and unpunishable. What we want is to make something a viable offense is punishable on read. Let's look at examples. Valkyrie sweep is punishable on reaction. You see orange, you dodge, you get a punish. Every single time. No exception. Warden's shoulder bash is punishable on read. If you make the correct read, you can punish him for it. But you can't react to anything unless you decided beforehand what kind of bash he's going to perform. aka, you made a read. Then there's Shinobi's kick, this weird hybrid that requires a hard read to punish if you play the wrong character. But it's still perfectly reactable, so you can just not bother with it. It's absolutely horrible in both aspects. The move now ends up like side dash attacks. You do it to punish other moves. That's all it is now. And if that wasn't enough, of course it's revenge locks as well. And what would For Honor be without some exceptions? So the other move with super armor is the backflip then. We mentioned that one before. So you want to punish something I've just done and I backflip? Are you in recovery? Well, I guess you get range guard broken now. This just brings us back to a point from the beginning. The superior mobility. Oh, you deflected my attack? Nah, I don't think so. Now, slide tackle. The move went from unreactable to snail type movement. Another example of something completely reactable. But for whatever reason it has insane tracking, so you have tons of people dodging too early. And like I said, it obviously has super armor, and on top of it no recovery worth mentioning, so no stagger, and the Shinobi can instantly react to whatever is happening. And as is tradition, slide tackle revenge locks. And just for shits and giggles, charging a heavy counts as attacking, so you have armor throughout the whole process. Now for his deflect, high damage is a given, we've been over this, but why doesn't it require an input? Every single other deflect does. We've even been given an explanation for why Circus was changed. You don't want to be stuck in the guard break animation. So what? But I do want to be randomly displaced when catching a deflect on accident. I don't really see the difference. It's fundamentally the same issue if you ask me. And to top it all off, every random deflect you get not only does damage, it also leaves you a ton of extra time to actually react and make the actual input. I've shown this quite a while ago that there are different windows to input a punish, and Shinobi has a whole teleportation animation that prepares you for it. So you'll be doing 40 damage as the bare minimum on random dodges here and then. I'm not even gonna mention the double deflect chance because of double dodges. One issue is that you might put yourself out of stamina because a deflect costs stamina, even if you don't make an extra input. Oh, and don't forget, super armor. Next thing is option select parries. I've talked about this in the punish video already. He has two different ones. The charging heavy once again allows him to parry on light timing and react to whatever else is thrown at him. Now the zone attack and the fact it has super armor. The super armor allows him to safely option select quite a few things that other characters would get caught by. Most notably Shugoki's soft feint into Demon's Embrace. Last thing I want to mention is the relock speed. For whatever reason, Shinobi's, and Conqueror's for that matter, is longer than everybody else's. Not a positive thing, but certainly something out of the ordinary. And that's it for now. The video is long enough already. There might be other small weird things regarding Shinobi, but I think I made my point. If you still want to argue that this character somehow isn't in need of a rework, then you know where to find me. Discord link is in the video description. Also, a huge thanks to everyone who helped with the video. It took quite some time to get everything I needed. Spaniard also wanted a shout out for the competitive subreddit. Link will be in the description as well. And check out the sidebar there are tons of useful links to a plethora of information. With that said, I hope the video cleared some things up. Thanks for watching. Laters everybody.